This is Educating New Mexico. My name is Bonnie Murphy. Today we're starting a new series. It's about parent involvement in schools on a very different level than most of the discussion has been about. Today I have as my very first guest, Jessica Ellis. She is the mother of
King Lawrence Ellis.
Most of the discussion in New Mexico that's being brought up is about funding, teacher preparation programs, quality of teachers, student assessments, teacher evaluations. I could just name it. I could just continue naming and naming and naming. And so what we're finding now is that there are a lot more deeper issues that are happening in education that are not being talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so King is 6 years old.
Yes.
You're a single mom.
Yes.
And you've been parenting and homeschooling, even though you've been disabled.
Yes.
And you've also been recovering. You're recovering from a lot of things that have happened in your own life.
Yes.
King is a special needs child.
Right.
He's going to start going to school. You've been homeschooling him.
Yes.
And now he's getting ready to go into the public schools. So tell us about that.
It's still scary to me to hear that he's going into the public schools. My goal is to stop him from going through anything I went through. When I went through a bad school district, I didn't have the proper education, so my way to make sure he had the proper education was to grow him myself. And King is gifted in many ways with his smarts and his brain and, just his spirit. So I think that made it even more scary for me to send him to a public school. But then I found one.
He's going into a charter school.
He's going into a charter school. So Albuquerque Collegiate Charter School is where we picked. We went to orientation. The classrooms are named after colleges, and they're scholars. They're not students there, they're scholars.
Right. So tell us about what was that like, that journey? Because you said literally from 1 week
to the next.
Yes. You were like, I am never sending my child to a public school, and now I am all out going to send my child to this public school. Why?
Yeah. Well, because I believe and know this school is made from a different model than any other school in New Mexico. I think this school is bringing a new perspective to education, and just really knowing from the get-go that all children are capable for greatness, and that's really what I've always been about, raising greatness. I believe this school not only is supposed to be setting up kids for their future, but hopefully supporting mothers and making sure their kids have what they need.
Right, because that's what we talked about, right? Was the parent involvement and really high quality education, a lot of rigor. It's very relevant to what he needs, exactly where he is. But you had talked to a friend of yours.
Yes, I have a friend. King goes to respite, and his respite is like when the mother of a special needs kid needs a break, or a family. Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to find one. That she's a teacher and she's an educator, and King got to go hang out with her at summer school. I just had the feeling that, okay, maybe I need to see about this school thing, or maybe if he goes to a school where I know somebody works that cares about him. That's really what it would have took. Is for I need to know somebody at that school cares about my kid, no matter what.
And so then you went to this school.
So I went to this school, and we had heart to heart about maybe should King go to this school, and we decided it wasn't the best. It wasn't the quality that I was needed for me to be satisfied.
Well, you've got a boy here who you give him a number, any number in the millions, and he'll read it for you.
Right.
Exactly. He's 6. You just turned 6 years old.
Yeah, they came out to class, and when I picked them up, she was like, King was in there reading with the 4th graders, and they were all impressed. New Mexico does not really even have a high quality education. They don't even have a good quality education. They have a very low quality education.
But like overall, right?
Overall.
But I mean, you find good schools, and that's what we were talking about, right? Is that, you have this passion, you have this desire to, make sure that your son is taken care of and that he's in the right place.
Right.
And being able to share, with you that, the traditional public school is the one that, like APS, and the public charter school, they're both public schools, they're both funded by state monies. but they are different in the sense
Yeah.
that there's some innovation that can happen, a little bit more freedom in with the innovation aspect of the curriculum.
Right.
But then, that there's a lot more accountability for charter schools in the first place because they get reviewed every 5 years. So they have to go through that renewal process and they have to make sure that they're following all the rules, right?
Right.
So
that's why. Well, I
that's
know
like-
that now. That's
Yeah.
why. This is why things like you're doing is so important. So I was still in a whirlwind in my head about even considering it, but it had hit me so hard that King could excel in school, and I was already getting questions about when's King going to school? When's King going to school? Because King is a very large boy for his age.
Yeah.
So people have been asking me about when's King going to school since he was like 2, and I'm like, he's 2, and he's
Yeah.
3, he's 4,
Yeah.
he's 5, because he's so tall. They're assuming he's in school.
Yeah.
And then even when he was in last year and I did him from homeschool, it's just the look on people's faces like, he's homeschooled. Oh, really? Yeah, and then he gets to showing his education, or people always assumed he was in school already because he was so smart, or because how he was, the King's been reading since he was 2.
And I have to be very honest and tell you, and I don't know if I told you this or not before, but I'm standing there with the flyers, and I saw you, and you had backpacks and bags, and my very first thought was, this is a homeless person.
Right.
And for a second there, it was like, but then I saw you talking to a child, and I was like, she's a mom too.
Right.
And she has a child, and he looks like he's about school age. He could be first grade was what I was thinking, right? Maybe
Right.
second grade, I don't know, but let's try. Let's just ask her,
Right.
right? So the first thing I said to you was, do you believe that all children deserve a high quality education?
Yeah, and then that question, and then I thought to myself, wow, what a awesome question to start out a conversation with, because I do, and that's exactly what it's going to take. King wouldn't be going to school if it wasn't a school talking about going to college. I knew what kind of caliber of school that it would take for me to put King in school. I was assuming maybe I would have to move to get it, or we would do homeschool, but I'm excited that Albuquerque Collegiate has, opened the way for the example. Single moms, so many parents have to put their kids in whatever school possible because they have to go pay the bills. They have to go work. They have to, I'm saying they can't. I made my choice that I'm going to keep my kid with me. I'm going to breastfeed my kid. I'm going to do everything by my kid no matter what. And, that led us to homelessness. Led us, through some beautiful, ugly storms, but we came out. I just think it's important that schools acknowledge the child for who they are.
So what are his needs? What are his needs
King
right
is
now?
King is on the spectrum. There's so much stigma. How you say the word?
The what?
Stigma that comes with the word autism.
Oh, stigma.
Yeah, that comes with the word autism.
Right.
So you try to kind of like, he's on the spectrum. Well, what's that? Oh, it's and just try to give people a new way to look at it. So yeah. So and plus to let people know that autism is just like the rainbow. It's so many different colors, so wide. It can be where you're not going to be able to set up a system just for autistic children. You're going to have to set up a system for every autistic child. And that's okay because that's the law and that's what you have to do.
So he has...
Yeah, so right now King goes to occupational therapy. He goes to speech therapy. He goes to play therapy. He goes to adaptive kayaking. He gets his needs.
And so he's starting school.
Yeah,
so what's
so I
this going to
enrolled
look
him.
like?
I wish I could tell you that all completely, but right now it looks like we're going to school and we're going to have to figure it out. I think that's the problem. You can't just put especially special needs, or I think any child only in school and expect them to excel in life like they need to excel, because teaching starts at home, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about all that. So
it's a transition. So
yeah,
he's
it's
going
a big
through a transition. So he's used to being out, getting his services in outside services, all
of them.
Occupational therapy, the behavior therapy,
speech.
Therapy.
Behavior therapy comes to the house
Right.
too. Right.
Okay. So he's got those services, but then he's going to go to school.
Go to school also.
So what's that going to look like? Is that going to be?
I think it's going to be hard on the gas tank, but other than that, I think it's just really being away from mama longer or getting up early, or I don't know what it's going to look like. But I know for me what it's going to look like is my child having everything he needs in an education, because that's what he deserves, so.
Well, and then we also have our friend Lisa, who
Yes.
helped us understand that, no, it's okay
Yeah.
for him to have these outside services and go to school.
And go to school.
It's just part of what he needs. And
Right.
and the transition for him is, you guys have been through a lot. I'm not going to go into your story right
Right.
now, but so much of what you guys have been through, that these support systems are in place for him because he needs those supports. And
Right.
he's getting better, and he's going to be able to transition out of them. But he's already made such improvement.
I do know this school is coming in expecting an A, and I expect an A+ school. You know what I'm saying? So I do, that's what I do expect. I expect them to meet King where he's at, on his high levels and his low. And I expect them to understand that King's worked really hard the last year to be the kid he is, and it's his team who got him that way. And with autism, the people in his life need to be constant. The things he learns needs to be constant. It's those interventions that make him the perfect student for this school.
But they believe that he's ready for school and he needs to start transitioning.
Yeah, I mean they believe he's ready for school, and they also believe in me that if I wanted to homeschool, they have my back too. But everybody was excited for King to go to school because they worked that hard to get him, because King loves people and King's a leader and King that's. But yeah, no, the team is all for him going to school, but they're also all for him making sure that we get our rights and get King what he needs, and that's still going to his therapies. It's a big transition in life, period. For us to even, I've never been away, but for my kid for 8 hours but once in his life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact of, the school schedule, 7:30 to 3:45, that would blow my mind. But I know parents in schools like this, and that's the system. That's how they excel on a different level. I know that the things of this school that's going to be, that we have to transition with, is what makes the school. This is what's going to make the school great. You know what I'm saying? So.
And so remember did you read that document that I sent to you that talks about like the different placements, for children who have special needs?
Yeah.
So, there's a whole that whole spectrum, that whole level of different placements, and so, what I've experienced a lot of times is that it's kind of a either or. It's either one extreme to the other.
Eiters or ors.
And there's a lot of in between that is afforded to children with special needs, and so that's the goal, right?
There are a lot, but it's lots of parents have to fight for them. Lots of parents don't know they're there, or
That's
lots of parents.
right.
I'm a big resource person. I believe in parents knowing resources, or parents knowing that, hey, this is available, that is available. I'm very open on King's, or because people, especially people with, because King's very high functioning. They have terms of high functioning, low functioning. I'm not a fan of it, because I when it's discrimination can pop up anywhere, even in communities. Oh, your child is high functioning, low functioning. I'm just like, but they're all on a beautiful rainbow every day of their life.
You're thinking he's gifted, so you're
Yeah,
gonna be
I'm knowing my kid is gifted.
Yeah.
I'm knowing.
I mean, being around him, I could say, I'm not a diagnostician, so I can't diagnose somebody. But
I know that he didn't always have everything he needed, like a home, everything he needed, like transportation, or, sometimes everything he needed, like support, But as for being grown into the 6-year-old, he had everything he needed. And that's a gift in this country. It's a, period, to be able to have a mama that can fight for your personal needs, your human being needs. So, and the kid reads probably better than me. So, because of his diagnosis or because of some of his lower functioning things like controlling his body and hyperness or, excitement for life, that he's going to have some things a little different, in school. And that's okay. I have to honestly say I didn't really take time to learn about school laws, learn about school because it wasn't on our things to do list. So I'm just like any other parent that's just now putting their kid in school and okay, now what do we do? What do we need to know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what lots of parents are missing. Okay, I'm going to put my kid in school. What are his rights? What are our rights? I think parents need to know that they have the right to be concerned about what's going on in their kids' education. It's not just like, okay, you have to put them in school and don't ask us any questions. This is how it goes. This is what it is. That's not the law. From my understanding, the law is if I don't feel my kid is getting what he needs, I have the right to come talk to you and figure it out. Mm-hmm. And not to be judged and belittled and be discouraged about my kid's education. And really, most special needs kids do their interventions all their life or up until, they're adults and lose their benefit until they can't, anymore, which is sad.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother ball game. So,
you and I
it's going to work. I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. It's got to work. I mean, it's the law.
Well, but it's
which
not.
means absolutely nothing. I don't know.
What it means is that if everything has been tried and everything has been done, to make sure that his needs have been met, mm-hmm. and it still didn't work. So
I believe anything that is really powerful in life, it comes with work. It comes with a struggle. It comes with a fight, so it didn't shock me that, it's not going to shock me if I have to go in there and stand up for my kid. I had King standing up on my tippy toes and I've been standing up for him ever since. You know what I'm saying? So
how are you going to make sure that it's working? So, or whether it's working or not? Like, do you know that yet? Do you know what you're going to do to keep monitoring that? Because you're not going to be in the school, right? For the first 2 months, they don't want any parents or any volunteers. What we have to do is find the research and say, well, does that count for special needs kids? Because my kid might need to see me. I'm concerned. Well, you have to go pick up your child.
Yeah,
right?
But during that school day, I might need to come in there and check my kid's butt.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
My biggest thing is like, okay, they might need to call me if my son says his butt's itching. I don't want to hear I don't want my kid coming home talking about an itchy butt.
Yeah.
There's some things we have to deal with. Mm-hmm. Just in your bathroom, right. I asked him, baby, you have to start wiping your butt. He's like, I can't reach. I'm like, let me see. I was like, wow, you can't reach. We'll have to discuss that with Miss Susie at OT. I don't, the little things that we have to figure out.
Yeah.
He has a team where we can figure it out.
That's right.
I'm blessed to have King is blessed to have a team, which is my team, that it's their job, it's their business to figure it out. Mm-hmm. If that school requires something of King, tell me what it is. Let's get it to the team. Let's figure it out. Let's give King. It's about giving kids an opportunity to grow.
That's right.
I have no expectations for King to walk in there and be where they want him to be or where all these other students are. I have an expectation for King to walk in that door and be his best, as much as possible. And when he gets away from his best, to fight to get back to it. Where does it say being a teacher is easy? Where does it say opening a new school is easy? Where does it say, any of that? It's not about, it's easier to set your kid here, do this or do that, or to be undisturbed. Let me find a school where a classroom is undisturbed. I'm concerned, because kids disturb you. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do.
They push the boundaries while they're growing.
Especially at this age.
How much farther can I go, right?
Especially at this age. So it's got to work. And no matter what the end is, it's going to work for us because we're going to grow through it. And we're going to be an example for another mama coming. And we're going to be an example for the mothers who kids are on the spectrum and people really don't know they're on the spectrum. We're going to be the mothers, the voice for the kids that, need a lot of, because even though King is still high functioning, he still has a lot of interventions, so I think the school might assume, well, King does this, and this. Why does he need this and this and this? Because that's how he could do this, and this.
But the IEPs, the Individualized Education Program,
right,
and his is outdated. So you guys are going to be working on getting
his is completely outdated. So King never had an IEP since he's gone to school.
Right.
So he needs an
for
IEP for the school and where he's at now.
Right.
Because from that first IEP, where I think his first diagnosis, we were homeless when he did that. We were living in a different church every week. We didn't have, we were going through a storm in life. In order to get help in this country, you have to have separation. He had to go to a school in order for me to get into a homeless program. But luckily the homeless program I went through, they understood who we were, and thank God he went to that school, because that's where Child Find found him and saw something that he needed some support in something.
Right. And I met some of those people at your party, and they're amazing people.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the programs that you've been through, and just the obvious caring and love and support that they have for you and with you is the dedication. I mean, it's just, we need more people like that, right, in our lives, because that's
we
pretty
put in
amazing.
the work. We put in the work, even though we're living in a maybe low income area, that you could still expect, your kid to have a high quality education.
Absolutely. Because demographics don't
right? And I would feel the same if we were still homeless.
That's right.
And just like I was discussing with some homeless mamas, we could still get our kids in school. We could still, keep going. It's just a new beginning.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's equity. Equity is everybody getting what they need.
Yeah.
Right? It's not everybody getting the same thing.
Right.
It's everybody getting what they need.
Yeah. It's just like the same fight, even through homelessness. Even when you get out of homeless, the fight to stay out the cycle. Homelessness is a cycle. You know what I'm saying? And there are lots of organizations that they need you to stay in that cycle so they can, keep doing what they're doing, So it's not every agency is there for you through the transition, through the, there's been families that even in the program I went through have had a home and lost it, and it's not because they've done anything wrong. I think a big problem in this country or with people is feeling that if somebody is going through something, it's because they did something wrong.
Right.
And that's a myth. That's a misunderstanding, to expect, hey, if I need to go to the food bank, or if my kid is hungry, if I'm homeless because the mother did something wrong.
Right.
And it's not like that, especially for low income mamas, single mamas. You don't have to do anything wrong to struggle.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem is, the guilt trip. Mm-hmm. That you had to do something wrong to be where you're at. So just be grateful. And that's not how it works.
But this is an amazing opportunity for King.
It's an awesome opportunity to grow and just grow his mind and to be creative and to learn and to
give him the skills that he's going to need later in life. To slowly build those skills, and so he can achieve at a high level in life. Because I see King already as being, I mean, I hear you say it all the time, but he was made for greatness, you know, and I mean, he could be, he could be a really amazing person.
Yeah, he's here with a purpose.
Leader in our life, our lifetime.
He's here with a purpose, and I got to make sure he has what he needs to do his purpose. And that's in all aspects of our life. We stay busy because I like to, what does King need to get to his greatness? And a collegiate school is one, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to come back and tell you what it looks like.
Please,
whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm excited to be able to take this journey. One, to hold people accountable. Hold the school district accountable, hold the charter school accountable, to hold everybody accountable for the importance school is in children's lives. Schools are not babysitters. I don't need anybody to babysit my child. I'm an attachment mama. I got that, So all kids deserve a proper education.
So I'm going to leave you with one question.
Yes.
So your child's going into school. And I want to ask you because I'm an educator.
Right.
Because I think like this, there's responsibility all the way around. So
Right.
do you have any ideas about how you can reinforce and kind of reward, or, are you thinking about a reward system, or,
Well, I don't
thing.
reward bad behavior, but first thing is, I'm thinking about how am I going to get this kid in bed and up and somewhere by 7:30 in the morning. That's the biggest, because, I do, first thing is getting him to understand you really have to do something 5 days a week. And I had to show him that I trust this school for him to trust this school. And that's really the big thing, for him to understand this school is the one for you. Baby, this school is going to make you're going to be able to do the things that you want, that your mind, you're going to be able to figure out the things in your mind that he likes to learn. You're going to be able to learn at this school. Albuquerque Collegiate just isn't any school, And if we find out it is just any school, we'll be up out of there. I think it's just going to have to be us showing this school that we're willing to do the work to make up when he's gone, or that King can acclimate when he gets back. And I think once they see some kids sad when King leaves and some kids happy when King comes back, they'll see what King brings to the school.
I really want to have you back again here. We're going to be
My
following you
pleasure.
around a little bit
Yes.
this week and the
Okay.
next week. Just figure out
We'll
what's going
follow
on
us
with you
around
guys.
through this first level education.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. This is a journey.
Right.
We're
And
on this
thank you
journey together.
And thank you for being part of King's
Thank
team.
you. Thank you for your bravery.
All right.
It takes a lot of bravery.
Courage. And that's what all mamas need, is courage.